Hello, dear students. Welcome to the Bajirao IS Academy. Today is 8th December, and we are going to discuss the daily Hindu newspaper analysis. So, in today's session, we have to discuss two important articles. Number one is related to Jammu and Kashmir and Article 370. Here, we will discuss the historical background of Article 370, that why it came into existence into our constitution, and also we know that this article was changed so that the special privilege given to the Jammu and Kashmir and their residents should be eliminated. So we will discuss into detail. Okay. And then further, we will shift to the second editorial. And this article is very, very important and very good points is given here. Okay. Here, the article is talking about that why India, despite wants to rise as a global superpower, is not able to grow, is not able to rise because of the hostile neighbors. Okay. So, what are the issues and why these dilemma we all are going to understand. Okay, this is very very interesting article. Okay, so without delaying, let's shift to the article discussion. And before that, if you hadn't subscribed our channel, please do subscribe, like, share, and also if you have any doubt or query, please ask into the comment section. Okay, so let's move to our article discussion. So you have to understand the background first about Article 370. Okay, so you know that 15th August 1947, India became independent, and apart from India, Pakistan also became independent. Okay, but when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, okay, so Jammu and Kashmir was princely state. Okay, at that time it was ruled by Maharaja Hari Singh. You may remember the name. Okay, so the Maharaja Hari Singh decided that we will not join either India or Pakistan, we will remain independent. But you know about the Pakistan, that what Pakistan did to include Jammu and Kashmir into their territory, like they sent some of the tribal infiltrator to the Jammu and Kashmir that was ruled by Maharaja Hari Singh. Okay, and these tribal infiltrators started aggression. Okay, and that's why Maharaja Hari Singh was not able to control these infiltrator. Okay, because these were rapidly expanding its domain. So Maharaja Hari Singh asked India for help, but India said, why I will help? You are not a part of my territory or my country. Why I will help? First of all, you join us, then we will give you the forces, we will give you the required assets to fight against these infiltrator. Okay, so Maharaja Hari Singh, sorry, decided that okay, I will join to you, and that's why instrument of accession was signed on October 26, 1947. Okay, and via this instrument of accession, Kashmir accedes to India. Okay, and after that, the Indian military, okay, started to fight against the tribal infiltrator or this Pakistani infiltrator. Okay, in Jammu and Kashmir, and they withdrawn these infiltrator from Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so after that, you can understand that Jammu and Kashmir, like they became a part of India, but there was some conditions and terms which was laid down in the instrument of accession. And what was the condition? That although we are joining you, okay, but give me some special privilege. Give me some special privilege to the resident of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. So the Indian authorities said, yes, we will give you. Okay. And hence, you can understand that Article 370 was made as a draft in May 27, 1949 by the Constituent Assembly of India. You can see here. Okay. And they talked about like the some part or the provisions of Constitution of India will not be applicable to the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so there were exemptions. So on May 1951, Dr. Karan Singh was representative of the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, they issued a proclamation convening the Constituent Assembly for the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so that the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution should be created. Okay, and that will be ruled by that Constitution itself. And further, in 1952, Delhi Agreement between Sheikh Abdullah and Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru was signed, and this agreement like expanded the relationship between India and Jammu and Kashmir, which gets reflected in the May 15, 1994 decision that Article 35A introduced through a presidential order to protect laws passed by the state legislature regarding permanent residents. And from this article, that is Article 35A, the resident of Jammu and Kashmir enjoyed the right to property, okay, along with the employment rights, reservation, along with the non-residents, okay, will not be able to buy property into Jammu and Kashmir. So these were the protection. Along with that, the separate constitution, the separate flag, okay, all these privileges were enjoyed by the Jammu and Kashmir state. Okay, and further, on November 17, 1957, the constitution of a state of Jammu and Kashmir was adopted, and it came into force on January 1958 26. Okay, that is January 26, 1958. So this is the historical background. Okay, and we have in 1949 October 17, Article 370 was added to the Indian Constitution as temporary provision. Remember this, as temporary provision. Okay, that's why this like a statement or the provision was utilized to end the special privilege in the Jammu and Kashmir given under Article 35A of the Constitution. Hope you understood the historical background. Okay, and now when we talk about the current position, okay, so on 5th August 2019, the President of India, in the exercise of the powers conferred by Clause 1 of Article 370 of the Constitution, issued the Constitution application to Jammu and Kashmir, Order 2019. What this order says, that the applicability of Indian Constitution will be now applied to Jammu and Kashmir as well, without exceptions. Okay, so that means no privilege will be given now. Okay, so why the President of India was able to do so? Because in Article 370 itself, there was a mention that any change to the privilege given to the Jammu and Kashmir, okay, can be done with the presidential order, but that presidential order should be approved by the state constituent assembly. Now remember, the state constituent assembly, as we know, that after making the state constitution of Jammu and Kashmir was ended. Okay, so there was no any existence of a state constituent assembly. Okay, so there was a state legislature, but at that time, we know, you can also remember the incident, that a state legislature was suspended and presidential rule was there. Okay, and that's why the central government utilized this feature to pass the amendment and also change the provision of Article 370 and thus eliminating the Article 35A. Okay, that gave the special privilege to the Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so that's why due to this methodology of passing the law is and was challenged by many politicians, and that's why the constitutionality of the abrogation of 370 or Article 35A is on the on the Supreme Court's proceeding. Okay, and it is still pending. Okay, and also the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019 was passed, which led to the creation of two UT, that is Jammu and Kashmir, having the state legislative assembly as well, and another is the UT of Ladakh, which do not have the state legislative assembly feature. Okay, but what we are seeing that even 4 years ended, but there is no elected government in Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, it is currently ruled by Lieutenant Governor. Okay, and also peoples and politicians are deprived of some right. Okay, and civil liberties. Okay, so these are the things which are going on. Okay, so elected government collapsed and governor's rule was imposed in Jammu and Kashmir. So in this article, there is a talk that if the changes is like the constitutionality of the changes is still pending in the Supreme Court. Okay, so why you recently passed the two bills from the Lok Sabha? First of all, let the judgment of the Supreme Court comes, and then you should pass the bill. Okay, like on Wednesday, the Lok Sabha passed the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Amendment Bill 2023. Okay, which talked about increasing assembly seats from 107 to 114. Okay, and another bill, that is Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Amendment Bill 2023, was also passed from Lok Sabha, that talks about reservation of 9 seats for scheduled tribes. And apart from that, the term weak and underprivileged class, okay, in the Jammu and Kashmir Reservation Act 2004 is being replaced to OBC class. Okay, so there is a name change as well, and you can understand that these name change although look similar but have significant impact as well. Okay, so there is a suggestion that first of all, make sure that democratic process should held here. And what do you mean by democratic process? The election of state legislative assembly. Okay, first of all, there should be a proper election, democratic election, and then to make change. Okay, anything in this region, try to collaborate with the state legislature as well. But today we do not have the present elected government. Okay, so these are unilaterally taken by the union government. Okay, and also it will ensure the political and civil liberties of the politicians as well. Okay, so that's the end of the article. Hope you understood. Now we are shifting to the second article. Okay, so when we talk about second article, it is very interesting. You will enjoy this article. Even I was also enjoying while reading this article. Okay, so when we talk about India, okay, in terms of international relation, India do have a foreign policy. Okay, and in its foreign policy, India tries to rise. Okay, India tries to make relations better with other nations. We have the Act East policy, neighborhood first policy, and many more similar policy. Okay, so we want collaboration, we want cooperation, we want coordination. Okay, to rise, we want rise, but as well as we want the rise of our neighboring country as well. Okay, but do this similar philosophy applies to our neighboring country as well? The answer is no, and you can understand better. First of all, take a look of India's like neighboring country. We have Afghanistan on the northernmost side. Then we have Pakistan, okay, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Bhutan, China. Okay, so you will see that Pakistan and China, these are the most hostile neighbor of us. Okay, and from Pakistan there is a spirit of terrorism, there is a spirit of extremism, and whatever disturbance that goes in Jammu and Kashmir, it is all due to the Pakistan infiltration and Pakistan motivated ideology. Okay, so first of all, we understood this. Now coming to China. Okay, so China and India, we do have a border issue, and apart from border issue, this border issue are still unresolved, and China like deliberately tries to make this issue unresolved because this will make India into engaging into these like issue, and it like affects the growth of India, the rise of India. Okay, and apart from that, China is also rising as a superpower. So India is a power, and China is rising as superpower. So China can challenge us in the future. Okay, and apart from that, what we are seeing that China is influencing its money power, muscle power, political power to these neighboring state as well. Okay, like we take an example of Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, and we know that Pakistan is also all weather friend of China. Okay, and apart from that, like the current president of Maldives, they are also pro China, and recent its decision to withdraw Indian troops from their territory was also in news. Okay, so this indicates that even our smaller neighbors do not even favor us. Okay, so that's why India faced the dilemma, India faced the challenge. Okay, so we understood. So broadly, there is a three type of dilemma India face, and when we talk about dilemma, it means that you are in confusion. Okay, you do not know whether we should go left or right or east or west, north, south. Okay, you are in dilemma. Okay, and India is also facing three types of dilemma. Number one, the rise of politically anti-Indian regime in South Asia. And the better example and the best example you can give is about Maldives. Okay, so we have talked to you about the recent winner of presidential election. Okay, name that person. Okay, and again in Bangladesh, presently we have like pro-India like relationship with present government. Okay, but the opposition party led by Khalida Jia. Okay, so in the next year, the election is still pending in Bangladesh. Okay, so if this government comes into power, so this is anti-India. Okay, so this will hurt India's like relationship with Bangladesh. Hope you understood. Okay, and when we talk about second dilemma, the second dilemma is like more a structural in nature. Okay, a structural means they are like the more historical. Okay, and more reflected as well. And what's the structural dilemma is like Beijing's or China's growing influence in South Asia, and we have took a numerous example like Belt and Road Initiative. Okay, and why China is able to do so? China is able to do so because they have the deeper pockets, and our neighboring nations are poor. Okay, they want money, and we do not have the deeper pockets, and that's why they are dependent on China for the money, for investment, for the technology. Okay, and China is eager to give that because China knows if we will give them money, the technology, so the relation will become more closer to China, and that the China wants. Okay, but this closeness is against in the interest of India. Okay, and apart from that, China do wants to settle border dispute, but not with India, but with the neighboring countries. Like recently, we have seen that Bhutan China talks was going on, about 25th round of talks, I think. was happening to resolve the border dispute between Bhutan and China. But China never talks that we will resolve the border dispute with India. Why? Because they want that the dispute should still go on. Okay, so that's why this represents the double standard of the China. Okay, and we can say that geopolitically we are locked. Okay, from the unfriendly South Asia. Okay, you can look at the map. Okay, here that on the one side we have the China, which is hostile, Pakistan hostile, the Maldives we are seeing that anti-India, Sri Lanka even sometimes anti-India, and even in Nepal we see the example, even in Bangladesh we can see the example. Okay, you can like forget about Bhutan, because Bhutan does not much interfere, okay, with these type of scenario, and they remains neutral. But Bhutan also, but China also wants to extend their influence to Bhutan as well, okay, via bordering solving methodology. Okay, so these are the tactics of China. And when we talk about why Chinese is getting too much influence in these neighboring country, okay, there is one another reason. Like, we have the complexity of our regional geopolitical architecture, okay. And why this complexity is rising? Number one, that once upon a time US presence in the South Asia was huge, okay. But nowadays we are seeing that US presence here is diminishing. Like when we talk about Pakistan, okay. So once upon a time, US was present, and was in favor of Pakistan, but now they are shifting away, okay, and similar to other nations of South Asia as well, okay. So diminishing presence of US. So US once upon a time supported these country in terms of money, in terms of investment, okay, in terms of technology, but now this diminishing presence is filled by the China. Okay. So the power vacuum is being filled by whom? China. Okay. So China is taking benefit of this vacuum. And for the smaller state, we know that China is acting as geopolitical buffer, providing the security, providing the loan, providing the investment, all of that. So that's why these small country do gets attracted to the Chinese side. Okay. And also our neighbors is very much smart. Like they play China card policy. Like if you will tell something against our nation, then I will go towards China, okay. And this pushed India much. That's why India is not able to take a strong decision with respect to the neighbors, okay. So that's the point. And when we talk about another dilemma, so one of the least interconnected regions in the world. Our South Asia is one of the least interconnected region. And when we compare our region with the region of European countries, so they are more and most connected. And that's why trade, investment, technology, prosperity do prevails. Okay, because connectivity brings trade, trade brings income, income brings prosperity. But in South Asia, we do lacks because we have hostile neighbor. If we want connectivity to the SAARC country, the Pakistan blocks. Okay, so that's the hurdle we are facing from all the side. Okay, and also India's ability to meet the needs of the neighboring nations is also limited, and China is providing that needs. Okay, and another context is like we have had normative and political approach towards the region. That means we do not try to engage with the neighboring country much more deeper, okay. And finally, one important point you can understand that in India is of course diverse country in terms of culture, in terms of region, religion, okay. And like they have the historical linkages with our neighboring country like Pakistan, like Sri Lanka, also Bangladesh. Okay, so we see the issue of refugee, we see the issue of the illegal immigrants. Okay, So these can cause the tussle in the relationship. Okay, like when we talk about the Rohingya issue, so there can be the disturbance of relationship between India and Myanmar. Okay, also illegal immigrants coming from Bangladesh to India. So this can cause disturbance in relationship, but this is not in the case of China. Okay, so China has upper edge over this issue, and when we talk about what should be the steps so that our dilemma should be resolved, so first of all we need to understand that now we should understand we need to go into the fundamental problems of our relationship. Okay, and we have to like decode, we have to analyze the biasness, the deep seated status quo biasness, okay, when it comes to dealing with the region's domestic policy. Like for example, you can take example like uh, we like try to engage more with the government of our neighboring nation that is in power, but we do not try to engage with the people, the leaders who are in a position. Okay, so this leads to like a scenario when the, let's say, anti India party comes into power to any of the neighboring country. Okay, so their approach of dealing becomes more harsh. Okay, so that's the point. And also when we talk about India's dilemma, so they are also caused by two mistaken assumptions. Number one, like we have the strong belief that if we can isolate Pakistan, okay, with our relationship, then the relationship with the neighboring country will become a stronger, but that is not the case. And along with the second assumption, which like also not proving good, like the soft power. Okay, we always try to focus more on soft power, the cultural linkage, the historical linkage, okay, the ethnic linkage, all of that, but this is not bearing much more result. Okay, and even sometimes it is observed that whether this is a, like a boon or like liability, because these soft power sometimes are like we are not able to connect so much. Okay, and China takes the benefit. Okay, so hope you understood. So what can be done? First of all, India should acknowledge first that South Asia and its balance of power have changed fundamentally, and now China is emerged as serious contender for the regional primacy. And also, New Delhi must proactively pursue the involvement of friendly external actors. Okay, and also, India's diplomacy must be flexible enough to engage multiple actors. Multiple actors, it means like you should also try to engage with the opposition party or the opposition leaders of the other neighboring nations. Okay, and that's why we have a conclusion that art of diplomacy is not about hating the anti-India elements in the neighborhood, but instead lessening their anti-India attitude. This can be a probable question for the international relation as well. Okay, try to remember this, and this can may be used in essay writing. Okay, so friends, hope you understood. Now we are ending the session, and before ending, you have to attempt the question from the prelims PYQ. Okay, you can pause the video, try to give the answer in the comment box, in the chat box. Okay, and we will reply definitely. Okay, try to engage, try to solve, try to think. Okay, so now thank you friends, thank you very much. If you are liking our initiative, please do like, share, subscribe, and spread the positivity. Thank you.